which is taking things personal.
Taking things personally.
And being hurt and brooding with it. I want to just...
About time for everybody right now.
Definitely.
About time for everybody. Because them things that you just cause suffering to yourself for no reason at all. We have to come out of that. It's not an easy one for the world to come out of, because while we are still attached to our sense of personal conditioning and so on, it's almost like all-pervading. It seems like it's all-pervading. Like every corner is touched by some person or something.
Yes.
But you come out of it. You can come out of it, you know.
I can feel that.
Yeah.
I can feel it. And it's such a old habit. So like the argument wants to go back, and I just feel like no more. No more.
Yeah, you can't just stop the fight. You have to stop the fighter.
Yeah.
You have to look at, what is, to really zoom in on him, tighten the aperture and go down on him. Look and say, who is it that is feeling so defensive,
Yeah.
And the fact is that this question, you allow the question some space rather than let the mind himself answer it. Let the question stay in silence, but alive in silence. And look, like, what is it that, and you start to get some little movements inside, like, something feels very vulnerable. I feel like, it's being attacked, You can search for it. What particularly is it? To really, don't let it off and don't change your questions. Stay with him. So, what is it, you're trying to see. Because actually, there's nothing there.
Yes.
What actually comes is like, it's like a habit.
Yeah.
Something slips in this little thing through the letterbox. And you see that it is a thought that has been believed in for some time. Then you can find out, but okay, because you heard me say that a thought without belief has no power at all, but a thought with belief can start a war and thing. So who is the believer in it? And the believer who is the believer. And you even come to see that the believer is a thought, but it's a thought with identity in it. Like there's an I behind this I believe. This I believe is also observable.
Yes.
You follow? You have to, I'm going to record it so you're going to listen to it. The I believe is taken to be an entity.
Yes, because it has also connection to emotion.
Yeah, the I and past and memory and all this,
yes.
It builds up,
Yes.
So this, but, from my experience and what because that's where he is. He gets very subtle.
Yeah.
From the past, and this happened to me when I was a child, and I just decided there and then I'm never going to have this again and stuff. And this I, this is where he's living, in the memory, this I. And so you have to stay with it. And you'll find that sometimes it may even come that there's some resistance coming up, like some irritation, like you really just want to log into it and, take sides with it. But you stay just in this observing space, which is not a room full of people, It's just intelligence looking. But if it can be seen, it's passing. It's like a cloud. It's a cloud. Some pass quick, some pass slow, but all are passing. And what knows that? What witness is that? And you check in again without trying to create an image. You say, well, actually, it's just automatically seen. It's just automatically known here. And the sense of I feels right now. It's not personal. It's just like an intelligent ability or something, sort of perceiving. You see, and the mind might come up with some other kind of ghost and stuff, and because of habit, something really wants to go back to that, and you see, okay, even that reflex to go there is also happening in something that didn't move at all. You just stay with it, and just and actually, at a certain point, you may find that you're not able to focus on anything, and there's a tendency to kind of feel like this is too hard. But that is also seen, you stay with it, And what happens is that this kind of introspection is self-developing, meaning that it gets good by itself. There's not a you making it good. Just by your attempt to keep looking, as you keep looking and you stay with it, it starts to develop into itself. You start to find, wow, even you feel some space comes and there's a natural sort of joy. But don't go personal with that even. Just use it as an encouragement even. Just keep looking, Don't grab the joy. The joy is there by himself. Just keep looking. But, again, something wants to feel like the joy is my reward. Or the joy is the sign of that, I've done it. And you have to watch those things. It's bypass them. Because you just get caught up in the traffic with them. Stay empty. You feel that you're looking from an emptiness more and more. And it's so encouraging, so naturally self-attracting. And so you almost sometimes can't wait for the next trouble to come, so you can just check him out and just see that, wait a second, if my viewing place is the same, the troubles all have the same destiny. They're nothing. They were just not looked into before. And so they developed a sort of like a false reputation about how great they are. And you just stay with it, little by little bit. You stay with it. Sometimes some people may say, well, it's so tiring to do that. I said, in the beginning, the tiring is also part of mind's resistance. Just stay with it. And at some point, it just kind of, it's just like, it can't hold itself together and just collapses into this spaciousness. And it's so worth it.
My thing is not that it's so tiring. The habit is to blame, so that the energy's out there. I spoke with Lakshmi about that yesterday. I have a really good courtroom case, like the problem's over there, and there's such a resistance.
It's a typical move of the ego.
To just cut that and to look.
It will always find something some target.
Yeah.
Which is the reason why.
Yes.
You understand? And it loves evidence. And like a whole heap of evidence. The ego collect a whole heap of evidence, have it right down to minutes and seconds.
Yeah.
So you just watch that and say, whoa, that's coming so tight.
Yeah.
But when you see that, that examination is not an admission of the universal consciousness, for whom things like tight and better don't mean nothing at all. You're going to make the whole vocabulary, of your mind, just see that it's just something perceivable. And usually when things are felt deeply emotionally, we give them a greater value because they feel more, they're energetic. They feel like they are evidence of truth. And that's what I was saying in Satsang yesterday, that even sometimes we give these things, the credential and credibility of truth because they feel so strong. They feel so strong, but they're strong because they have not been questioned.
Yes.
We accept them, and that's the reflex is where you place your identity is always in this place, and it's not stable. But the mind and memory gives it a sense of continuity and depth, but it's not. It's very strobic. The way the mind is, it keeps flashing up like this. It can't be continuous. The only thing that's continuous, even the word is not right to say that itself is continuous. Because when something is infinite, it can't be continuous. It's just everywhere present. Now continue to go where? It's just perfect. But it starts like little small steps, You end up making huge leaps. But it's just to break that, status quo in the mind, because it's easy. You play this thing over and over again. It's easy just to, Yeah.
I feel now like a few days ago I sat with this thing the whole day. I had a day off and there was such a spaciousness, and now I feel almost like an excitement about I got him, it's like I got you, you're not gonna but then yesterday I slipped in again. And
you'll get him, but while you get him,
get the getter.
Get the ghetto too. And then get out of the ghetto.
Thank you.
This is the, you know, if some of these quintessential pointings, if you follow them, it's that they are enough. They're so they're so wide in their impact. You know, it's amazing. You know, you can spend lifetimes trying to study techniques which the ego is going to carry out, but not really. Mm-hmm. But if you catch him, you understand. Where do you see it? What is ego like? The whole. When I say something like, you know, the cause of suffering is ego. The cause of suffering is 6 words. And that the cure for suffering is the exposing that you're not the ego. If you really did that, that's a world solution, because it covers every ground, because everywhere ego touch. If you can understand what ego is. But by the time, you see, we are so deeply entrenched in our relationship with this false identity that we feel threatened to challenge him. And that's how it lives. We're so used to identifying ourselves in that mode that, you know, when you come to really look at it, something feels threatened. It's it that feels threatened. Mm-hmm. That's threatening. And because of our links with it for a long time, you feel like, you know, you take on all the symptoms, like, oh God, I feel so tired, it's so difficult, and it's all your mind. You don't know the difference between your mind and you. Mm-hmm. You are not the thing, you are not the mind. You are before the mind. You're before the feelings. Before everything you're there. You're before. And when all of them came, you never change you. Just when we manifest as selves, and then, you know, quickly that gets confiscated and become ego, then trouble start. Only there trouble can start. When you stop him, trouble stop. You see, but that simple question to be fulfilled is a monumental leap, because you can only transcend something if you're desperately in need to. If you're just casually curious about it, no chance. You have to really, this is something you really have to fight for. Not a bloody fight. The ego will fight a bloody fight, because you see how much its virus is inside the functioning of the being. When you know, so even the being is not you, it can't exist without you, but it cannot be quintessentially what you are, because it can be viewed, it can be perceived. We grow to appreciate the profundity of that recognition, that something can be perceived. Does it share the reality of the perceiver? Only if the perceiver is interested in it particularly. And then he shares reality with it. But if he can look without logging in and without wishing to be combined with it, then he stays pure. The whole thing, the whole world is suffering from becoming personal. Personal. It takes a little while to get out of it, but it can be done. And after all, it's not true. It's not true. And the truth is that you are what you're seeking. It makes you want to celebrate too early, but at least you know, wait a second, I mean, I don't have to go and fix myself and undo all the wrong things I've done. I said, well, no, you couldn't anyway. You know what I'm saying? So now when you wake up, you know, you don't have to wake up from this part of the dream and that part. You wake up from the whole dream. You see, I woke up from this bad part of the dream, but I like this good part of it. You wake up from all of the dream. But it starts with you, by you coming here yourself of your own volition. You come and present this is already a step into your freedom. You know? It didn't have to be pulled out of you like removing some, you know, molar. you know. You came volunteer and say, I want to be free of this tendency. And in one way I could put it and say, well, you know something, if you understand, the freedom starts there, but now it's got to soak right through. Like if you throw a stone in the river, it's going to take a while before it drops to the bottom, but it can't not drop to the bottom, you know. So you throw the stone in the river, and it has to soak in, it has to go down to the bottom. And so the understanding has to go right down into the bottom. That's good. I always admire and feel happy when people come and they say, yeah, I got this problem, you know, I think I'm giving too much attention to this. And so I say, really? Come sit down and let's take a look at that. Because I know how nice it is to be free of that. How nice it is to be free of that duppy.
I read in one of the books from you, somebody asking you, why is it still hurting? And you said, hurting me, and you said, because there's still a me. And I can really, like, my whole attention is to identify what that is in me, this me. That means that's the dream.
Yeah.
It's a habit.
Yeah.
And I really don't.
Right, that is a super card.
Engage anymore.
That's the super card. That is the passport inside.
Yeah.
This me factor is it's twinned with I, you know.
Yeah.
It's to because we feel that, I mean, to be not me means I cannot perceive as I do, and taking that all our way of perceiving appears to be personal. And how can I change that? Again, you're putting it on the I again to do that. But if you can see that the I itself is observable, you must go to that place where I is observable. That's not observing the one who observes the I. I can feel this sense, you know. And if I pay attention not to the object of perception, but to what causes even perceiving to happen, you know. Say, yeah, but that's what's taking place now. I didn't create that. It's just happening like this. But it's acknowledged already. You're out of it. Anything. You're out.
Thank you.
And you realize that which you say you're out, that has never been in, really. It's just some dream thing happening inside our mind. But to be free of the I, that is the greatest attainment, I think, in the human kingdom. To be free of the belief, I am this body, I am this person. That's a biggie. That's a big one.